Welcome to today's webinar on Editor's Craft. I am Shweta, your host for today. I'm elated to have Ms. Leena Singh join us as our guest speaker. Today, we'll be exploring how to publish smart, write right, and make an impact. If you have any questions, please feel free to submit them in the chat. Now, I will give a brief introduction to our guest. Leena is a seasoned creative content professional with extensive experience in publishing, edtech, and training. She has traveled widely, both within and outside India, for observations, teacher training, and learner engagement, gaining valuable insights into the diverse educational settings. With a strong background in design, media, and screen, she has developed a strategic, practical, and integrated command of digital and multi-platform publishing. Leena holds a master's degree in publishing and has undertaken significant research on managing editorial workflows in multi-platform publishing. Additionally, she has obtained certifications in teaching techniques, emotional intelligence, and language learning and teaching from the University of Southampton, England, further enhancing her expertise. Currently, she serves as the Director, Content Solution at Burlington English, where she leverages her expertise to drive innovative content solutions. Now, I would invite Miss Leena to take up the floor and go ahead with the session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Shweta. Good afternoon, everyone. I can see messages popping up wishing all of us here. So very good evening to all of you. I'm excited to join and conduct this webinar from the cloudy yet sunny, hot summers of Delhi. Into the chat section, I would request each one of you to write down from where are you joining this session, which city or which state, into the chat section, please. Oh, Pondicherry, Punjab, Kahanunagar, Karnal. Karnal is very close to my heart. Ghaziabad, Hyderabad, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Coimbatore, Panipat, Pune, Ambala City, Bangalore, Vellore, Dubai. Wonderful. Amritsar, Kharagpur, Himachal, Amchi, Mumbai, Badoi. We also have people from Jammu and Kashmir, Gujarat. So it would be
Kolkata
right
and
to
Siliguri, Ludhiana.
So I think it would be right to say, Sweta, that we have mini India represented here in this webinar.
Absolutely.
All right. The next question to all of you here is that type in T if you are a teacher who has joined this webinar, and type in S if you are a student who has joined this webinar. I have got so many T's. One S, another S. I'll request all these teachers, all these lovely teachers, if they can just forward this link to the students who are part of their magazine club or editorial board so that they can also join in. Otherwise, you can always take back the information and knowledge that you gain here. Wonderful. So today we are going to thank you so very much, all of you. And I see there are a lot of teachers, and let us say that teachers are actually learners forever. So now we're going to start with the first set of section of my webinar, in which we are going to talk about the topic which Shweta had described. I'm going to share my screen. Give me a thumbs up if all of you can see my screen. Shweta, do you see the thumbs up?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. So, editor's craft. Editing is a craft. It is not just only a skill, it's craft. It's like performing arts. Editors are artists, and the schools, all of them have book clubs or magazines. They have their editorial teams. And I'm guessing that the teachers who have joined this webinar are, in a way, either leading or managing such editorial teams. And in case, even if you're not leading or managing such kind of teams, you can always go back and tell your peers and the students who are part of these editorial uh, clubs, and they can learn from what you are going to learn today. So it's about publishing smart, writing right, and making an impact. Editing is an art that shapes voices, that tells stories in the most engaging and impactful ways. So it's more than words. It's about impact, meaning, and learning. So, as I mentioned just a second ago, it's about shaping voices, storytelling in such a way that ignites curiosity and leaves a lasting impression. And the content that you create or you publish, it makes reader pause, smile, reflect, and think deeply. That's what there's a purpose, right? That's why we are here. That's what we do when we are talking about editing. Now, when you're building a publishing style editorial team, there are three things that are very important. I call it the Trinity. The clear roles. You have to define the roles very clearly, because when it is everyone's job, then it is no one's job. The shared vision. It's not about just sending messages on WhatsApp, this is done, this is not done, please submit the articles. It's about, are you aligned? Are you aligned as a team to a goal? Do you share the vision? Do you share the common vision, right? And efficient processes so that the deadlines are met without anyone dying in the process of finishing magazine. Yeah. It is also important to understand originality and copyright. It is extremely important. Just because you have rewritten the piece by Shakespeare, the Hamlet, or a story by Rabindranath Tagore, or a poem by Sarojini Naidu, you have typeset it in a very interesting manner. It does not make you the author. You have to acknowledge who's the author. You have to understand the copyright. You have to understand the boundaries and the practical tips, what can you use, what is fair use, where you need to take permissions, how do you cite when you are taking things from other resources. It is so important. Nobody, as they say, Rome was never built in a day. At the same time, it is not a one man or a one woman's job. You need to have a team. And in the team, you need to collaborate, which goes beyond the group chats. So, shared vision, structured meetings where there is an agenda. You know what is the agenda. For example, you know in today's webinar, what is the objective, that you're going to understand that how publishing teams or real editorials work in real publishing companies, so that you can then have your own editorial teams working in a more professional manner. You understand the industry vocabulary, and you make your children ready, not only in terms of becoming creative writers, nuanced editors, but also they make fully aware of a new job type or job role that is called publishing. And then also you give feedback, but you don't make enemies, right? So how do you give feedback? With kindness and honesty. You have to maintain respect. You can't say, oh, this is an atrociously written piece. You have to maintain dignity, not only of yours in terms of giving feedback, but of the writer. You have to build trust and maintain relationship. Remember, the edition of that magazine will be out in a month, but that child who has written, to whom you have given a very stern negative feedback, is going to be there in the school with you, maybe for next 2-3 years, right? You got to be very specific. Just saying something is, everything is awesome, papa or pizza nowadays, but just saying it is good, it is nice, it is not so good does not help either the writer or the designer or the illustrator. So you have to be very, very specific. And it's always important to have a sandwich method of giving feedback. Start with good, positive, give constructive feedback, end on a positive note, or follow the 1, 2, 3 template, or give them 3 good things that you like, 2 things that you want to improve, and 1 thing you wish was there when you're giving a feedback. You have to meet deadlines without losing your mind. So you have to plan ahead, like this is the date when my magazine is going to get published. I have to prioritize the tasks, and you have to build a buffer time, at least give 2, 3 weeks as a buffer for yourself. And in all this process, take pride in your editorial process, right from rough draft. Because remember, every great piece or every great writing or artwork starts imperfect, and that's okay. It is through teamwork, through collaboration, and through various stages of publishing, you end up delivering polished, impactful stories that resonate with the audience. And then celebrate the wins. Hey, all the writing came in. Let's celebrate. The artwork is done. Let's celebrate. The overall design approach has been approved. Let's celebrate. The principal approved the first draft. Let's celebrate. And when the magazine is finally out, let's celebrate. And when we hear feedback from children, from classmates about the latest magazine, let's celebrate. The end. That's all. Is it? Not the end. What I showed you right now, if you noticed in my slides, here on the bottom right, it is said made with Gamma. It's an AI-based, it's an AI tool. All I did was gave a prompt. You can also give a prompt, and you can have a PPT, a document, anything. There's so much of content everywhere with AI. Why will anyone read what you have written? Why should anyone read the magazine that you have published? What is in it? Because we are not living in the world where information is restricted anymore. It's the explosion of information on a click of a button into the chat box. Can you type, according to you, how much time do you think I took to create the slides that I just showed you with AI? How much time? How many hours, minutes, or seconds? Shweta, can you just check and let me know?
So it's there are multiple responses to the question. It's 5 minutes, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, half an hour, 30
The
seconds,
answer is
5 minutes.
wonderful. And the answer is wrong, 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 wrong. Just 21 seconds. Just 21 seconds. I blinked my eyes. Let us all do that. Let us blink our eyes 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the presentation deck was ready. That is how fast publishing can happen. So why? I mean, anybody can do it. That was such a generic content. I mean, what I told you, you probably already knew, right? But as I said, it is a new beginning with endless possibilities. We are going to talk about how are you going to publish, or how the editorial board of the school, of your schools, are going to publish in the world of AI. With a clear-cut goal that whatever they publish is engaging, purposeful, and makes an impact. Because only then other students will read, or else they'll flip through, or they will not even, in case if it's a digital magazine, they'll not even open the link. Because all other magazines, every other magazine is going to look like the same. They look alike. Every other piece of writing, if you are just using generic, if you're giving generic commands, you're using just the AI, is going to look the same. The same kind of illustrations, the same kind of color scheme, the same vocabulary range, the same kind of story format or writing format. And there'll be no differentiation. The target audience will not relate. because there's so much of similarly sounding, reading content out there. This is the photo of the prompt. If you just put it on any AI tool, I've put it on ChatGPT, but give me a list of AI tools that I can use to create and publish high quality school magazines. This is one set. Because before this prompt, I also gave many other instructions. So you have these kind of AI tools, for content writing, editing, for design, layout, for illustrations, for audio-visual enhancements, for publishing and distribution. Few of them are free. Most of them follow the freemium model. Freemium model, do you understand? Who's going to tell me what's the freemium model? Shweta, can you see in the chat box? Freemium model.
Paid version. This is a
Yeah,
response from Priyanka Sharma.
Freemium model means that a part of it would be free, which is something basic. And then if you have to use professional tools, you have to pay certain fee. I am not advocating any of these tools. I'm just making you aware that these tools are there. I'm also not advocating not to use these tools. You must and you should. We have to move ahead with technology. Remember, technology is as good as its masters, right? So we are the master of this technology. AI needs to amplify human intelligence. AI will not replace human intelligence. Human intelligence combined with AI will help you save time, energy, will also help you in improving the scope. It's like a buddy that will go around. But at the same time, it is so important to remember that as a teacher, as an editorial team, to use it ethically and responsibly, that it is used to ignite human curiosity, capacity, and competency, not the other way around. And I can tell you, the technology or AI will not replace the editors, but the editors who use AI or latest technology will certainly replace the editors who don't. This was the prompt I used. And in 21 seconds, I got those slides, which I just showed you. This is also the description that went out in the webinar promotional bit. So the prompt is the human intelligence. I knew what I wanted to do, right? And I got something from there. But I'm not here only to give you how to write prompts, nor I'm here to tell you that, okay, today you know that you can write smart prompts and you can get an output from AI. This is no discovery. You already know it, right? What I'm here to tell you is that this was just generic. I'm here to make it very personal for you to take certain things which can immediately implement in your school publishing processes. Yeah. What does this picture tell you? Any famous quote? Any famous quote? Can you give me an associated quote when you look at this picture? I'm giving it 10 seconds. Any popular quote that comes into your mind when you look at this image? Shweta, do we have a few answers?
No, not as yet. Yes. Glass half full or half empty. Water, water everywhere, not a drop to drink.
Wonderful.
Crying over spilt milk. Lack of
Wonderful.
information.
Wonderful. So water, glass half filled, half empty. This is again a very good quote. But when I put together this image, I actually thought of water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Can anyone tell me from where did this quote come?
There
In
is
which
one
verb?
more
Yeah.
from Mr. Arun Agrawal. So it is, we see things not as they are, but as we are.
Wonderful. Wonderful. But let us stick to this quote, water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Can you tell me from which story, which poem this quote came from?
So it came
Anyone?
from one response is there from Richa Tripathi. It says Coleridge,
Yes. And which poem?
Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
Yes, it comes from the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, written in 1798. You know, the fag end of the 18th century, right? Fag end of the 18th century. The line is spoken by a sailor adrift at sea, surrounded by salt water, but unable to drink any of it, highlighting desperation and abundance. Quite a contradiction there, right? So I'm just summarizing it for everyone that in this
Mm.
poem, what the poet tells, it's about an old sailor called the Ancient Mariner who stops a man on his way to a wedding and tells him a strange and sad story from his past. The mariner once went on a sea voyage. At first, everything was fine. Then a storm pushed the ship into icy waters. There, a beautiful white bird, the albatross, appeared and led them to safety. But the mariner shot and killed the bird for no reason. After that, everything went wrong. The wind stopped. The ship got stuck. The sailors ran out of water. And strange things started happening. One by one, all the other sailors died. And the mariner was left alone, cursed and full of guilt. Finally, when he began to respect nature, the curse started to lift. He was rescued, but now, as punishment, he has to wander the world telling his story, teaching others to respect all living things. The wedding guest, having heard the tale, leaves wiser and more thoughtful. And I just hope that after you hearing this, also become more thoughtful. So, in terms of publishing, what does it mean? Content, content everywhere. Not a single piece which I find exciting to read. I'm talking it all with respect to the school magazines, with lot of poems, lot of write-ups, lot of articles, but very little recall value. You call a school magazine or any magazine a success if students quote from your stories, if they recite the poems that are written there, and then we say the magazine is a success, right? So I'm not saying there's a lot of good work out there, but with AI, there's a lot of generic content out there. But unless that content I connects with me, it hits here. It should hit here, in right here. When your heart can see what the content is showing, then you say it is an impactful content in a school magazine. So the purpose. What is the purpose of doing a school magazine? Why? Why do we have a school magazine? So this is a QR code of Mentimeter. I'll ask my colleague Shweta to put the Mentimeter link also into the chat box. Either all of you scan this code or click on the link which Shweta has just put it into the chat section. Click on the link and then I want you to give response to the question that you see there. So either scan the code if you can, it will take you to the Mentimeter site, or you click the link which Shweta has shared into the chat section and enter your response therein. And once you have done it, please into the chat section write done so that we know that you have done it.
So I can see the response as yes and done.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. So we are getting a lot of responses out here. I'm just going to share my screen once again for you to see the kind of responses we are getting. So can you see, all of you? We're still getting these responses. So you're seeing explore new ideas, a platform for budding you, activeness, creativity, enhanced skills for students, developing skills, writing skills. To allow exposure, information will be shared, showcasing student work, express the creativity, to promote the school, creative knowledge, content development, showcasing student work, expression, communication. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. A big round of applause for all of you for participating it in so very well. And but here, now this is the time to also reflect. Just a sec. Going back here. So all of you, we have seen, why do you think? In fact, I think this is more of a time where I need to talk to you, so I'm not sharing the screen. The purpose, nearly all of you, or in fact, most of you said it was to give a platform to the students so that they can it allows them to express themselves, to foster the creativity, foster creative writing skills, showcasing the talents of our kids and motivate them. Wonderful. Very good. It is very motivating, and I can see the teachers responding it with a teaching lens. But remember, the webinar is about building real publishing teams the way it is there in the real world. Why do you think the magazines are there? Why do you think the writers who are writing in the magazines they're writing for? The editors who are working in these magazines they're working for? It is for the reader. It is good. I mean, I'm not saying it is either or. It is both. You're giving a platform to these students to write. But at the same time, when they are writing or as an editorial team of your school magazine, you have to keep in mind who is the target audience. Why would other students read what you are writing for? Why would Shweta read what Lena has written? I'm her best friend, but I can't be best friend of every other child. I read because my teacher asked me to read. I mean, you will hone the writing skills even in English classrooms, in your English lessons. I totally agree this is a platform. But when you are publishing your school magazine, you have to also keep in mind the target audience, the school children who are going to read through the magazine. They should look forward to the next edition of your magazine. So when you start writing, keeping the reader in mind, when you start editing to keep the reader in mind, you're again practicing your creative writing skills. You're again showcasing your creativity. And again, you're having a platform where you're reflecting, where you're showcasing or demonstrating your talent. But the only thing that you have added in here is the reader. Why? I have written a poem. It's very close to my heart. I've written it very well. I want the world to read it. I want children of grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, children of humanities, children of sciences, children who love maths, children who hate maths, all of them to read it. What is the hook in my poem that they will connect? As an editorial team, one thing is writer. I'm not here for the writers. I'm here today for the editors. As an editorial team, when you are selecting these pieces, is it because there are no other pieces? Is it because this happens to be something written by my best friend? Or is it because it is about the topic that I think you should write? But what made me think that you should write on this topic? What will excite my audience? With this mindset, you have to approach the school magazine. It will continue to remain a platform to showcase talent, to demonstrate writing skills, creativity, to hone the output skills. All of it will continue to be there, but it has to also factor in the readers. And that is, my dear teachers and students who have joined this webinar, should keep in mind when the next time you're sitting for your next issue or next edition of the magazine. With this, I continue with the slides. I hope this is something new that you have learned today, or maybe you know it, but you have not expressed it, or maybe you know it, but you do not understand how important it is. Because that is how the magazine editorial, they said, oh, what will excite my audience in the month of September? What will excite my audience in the month of December? What will excite in the springtime? What will excite my readers when the annual conference is round the corner, or I've just concluded the annual conference? And with this as an editorial team, you go out, hunt or get your authors and get them to write. All right. So anyone can write. Anyone can write. That is now with AI. Even before AI, all of us are born storytellers. We can write. But with AI, anyone can write. I write using AI, or I write with AI. Into the chat box, can you tell me the difference between I write using AI and I write with AI? Sweta, can you please monitor the chat for me once again? I'm asking you the difference between I write using AI, I write with AI.
All are correct for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's no wrong.
Clayton,
The difference.
Richard, David. Okay, I think using AI is taking help. Using is to copy all ideas, but taking a gist from it. And I would go back to, there is a good response from Mr. Arun. So I write with AI is the more natural choice. It suggests collaboration where AI is a tool that assists you in the writing process. I write using AI works too, but it feels a bit more focused on the method rather than the partnership.
Wonderful. So I write using AI is a functional use. You know what you have written. You have used AI for language correction, stylistic things, and making it to a specific format. But you already know it. I write with AI. It means it's right. AI is your partner in the process of writing, as one of the participants rightly said, where you are collaborating, brainstorming with AI. You're asking AI to challenge your draft. You're asking also AI. You're challenging AI input, and you work like that. The whole idea here is to understand that anyone can write, and now it's no longer only about writing and content. It is all about context. Context is the king. Let us be inclusive here, okay? No prejudices, no biases, no stereotyping. Context is queen and king. I think that's a better statement. Or let us be democratic here. No monarchy. Context is key. Now, what is context? Context is theme plus events plus season plus mood plus audience plus culture. Theme, I mean, in schools, we generally have these themes. For example, in the month of July, you'll be surprised. Nearly 70 to 80% of the schools in the month of July, the theme is environment, celebrating nature. Yeah. At times, the theme, you have month-wise themes for learning bit. So you can coincide the theme of your magazine with the theme of the month, right? So that way, your magazine articles can get integrated into the teaching and learning processes that happen at the school. Events like sports day, um, in Model United Nations, Youth Parliament, uh, your annual conference, uh, event in your community, in your city, if there's a musical tour, if there's a cricket match happening, all of these are published events, right? A World Book Day, a Sustainable Development Goals Day. So you can factor in those. You have this information well in advance. So you can actually plot in the theme and the events that you will consider for every month for your magazine. And you can invite the writing pieces accordingly. Season. If it's summertime, it's winter time, it should inform especially your design. If it is too dark in summertime, you will find that the readers will not engage that much. Mood. How's the mood? In April, children join back. It's a new session. It's a new beginning. So probably that is the mood. In December, it's half yearlies. March, it is exam time. In the month of May, it's the holidays are about to start. October, November, festival time. It will inform the mood, the audience, right? Your students. You want students to read your magazine, or you want the parents of the students to read your magazine. So keep that in mind. And of course, the culture. So context is the key now. Content is important. Nobody is undermining the importance of content, but context is key, because context is something that AI will not bring in. It is you, it is human intelligence. It is how it will set the way you will curate the content. So go out with your magnifying lens and look for the context that works for your magazine, for your school in the next issue. That will happen next month or the month after that. So now let us build an editorial team that works like a real publishing house. All of us have editorial teams in our schools, right? Can you tell me how your editorial teams are? What kind of people are there in your editorial teams? Quickly in the chat section, I want you to give names, like designers, editors, give out names, not the actual names of the students, but the designations. So I want to see what kind of people participate in editorial teams. Shweta, once again, I'll request you to monitor the chat and let us
Yes, I'm
know.
there. So we have editor, illustrators, proofreaders, achievers, content writers, graphic designer, copywriter, artist, information collector,
Wonderful,
reviewers.
wonderful, wonderful. So you're already there. You're already there. I'm just going to
Uh,
present you that, and many of times you will see that, oh, we
yes,
already have it.
copyright, public relations, marketing team.
Wonderful. And if it is not the one person, if it is only one person who's writing, then I'm guessing they're using AI. But anyhow, I would like to say that you already know these are the kind of people you would meet. This is what happens even in the real publishing house. So these are the editorial roles that we talk about. Uh, I'm not, these are more, no, not like roles. This is like your hat. So generally the editorial teams are small in size. So one person can wear multiple hats, right? So you can have a commissioning hat who will decide the theme, invites contributors, assigns articles. But at the same time, once they have done that, they'll also wear the development hat, in which you work with the writers to structure and strengthen articles. I think development editor is a missing link that is there that I also do not find in many of these school editorial teams whom I have met and counseled. They have people who either they call commissioning editor or acquisition editor or information researcher or a PR person, but they're essentially doing what? They sense the mood, they decide the themes, and then they reach out to people and ask them to contribute in terms of stories, articles, poems, dialogues, and things like that. But the development editor is a very important person on the team. They work with your writers because now you have a theme, you have set context. They'll work with your writers to ensure that it is not just a generic content out there. It is personalized. It'll be something which will excite other children of the school. Copy editors, you're very right. They clean up the grammar, linguistic styles, and then you have proofreaders. And proofreaders, you always need to fix your commas, typos, because as they say that you want to say okie dokie. You don't want to say okay donkey, right? You don't want that extra N there. Okay. So, I've just given you a very broad level bit. And I'm not saying you have to have 4 editors. No, you can have 2 and they can wear multiple hats. You can also rotate them. For example, this time Shweta is commissioning editor, development editor, and I'm the copy editor and the proofreader. Next time, I can be the commissioning editor and the copy editor. Shweta can be the development editor and the proofreader. That's it. There's a holistic development of editorial skill sets. I can't tell you. It breaks my heart when people say, "Oh, Lena, what do you do? Oh, you're an editor." Okay, so it means you just fix up the spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes. No, my dear teachers, no, dear people, editors do much more. Editing is a craft. We are artists. We are the ones who make stories come alive. We are the ones who ensure that the people who are excited to tell their stories get the target audience who's equally excited to listen to those stories or read those stories, right? So it is important that next time you have in your team, in your editorial team, 1 or 2 people. Generally, development editors need to have good language skills. So you should have that where they work with the writer, where writer give them the first draft, they look at it and they say, oh, this is right. But if we could, tweak it like this is an important event. Remember the speech by principal in the morning assembly, or our dramatic society just went live with a new play. You could give reference to them in your new write-up. So the development editors are like your best friends when they are writing, when the edit writers are writing. The contributor roles. You can have writers, reporters, and you can have guest contributors. We have seen that schools generally have writers and reporters, but believe you me, involve parents. I'm telling you this. Reach out to the parents. Let the parent community also contribute to your magazine. And it'll be fantastic. It will be fantastic because you have parents of varied backgrounds, and then they get more engaged. And once the parent is engaged, not only the parents will also tell their children, go read the magazine, my article is there. And then you have those parents club, your PTMs, where they can discuss this. So do invite contribution from parents. I've seen school magazines inviting contributions from alumni, which is fantastic. Don't end there. Ask the alumni to get some contribution from the teachers or people wherever they are working. So your magazine should have at least a section where there's contribution from people who are outside the schools, right? And then you have reporters who cover school events, right? The designer roles. It is very important. Most of the school publishing teams, they use Canva, the free version. I've seen it. They use Adobe Light. At times they use Word doc very well and just convert it into PDF and use it like that. There are many other online tools that they are using. So broadly, you just need 3 kind of things. I'm not assuming that you have trained illustrators or InDesign experts sitting as part of the student team, but you have a lot of tools out there. But you need to have 3 major kind of roles here. Again, one person can wear all different hats, but do not wear the 3 hats together. You will not get the job done, right? So just wear one hat at a given time, at a given point of time. So there's a graphic designer who looks after the illustrations, the icons, the artwork, that can go with the theme, overall tonality of the magazine, cover page, section breaker, because they are design heavy. The layout designer is someone who would fix, okay, this is where the text will appear, this is where the image will appear. They do the typesetting and composition, and that's the layout designer. And you need photographers. You need photographers for 2 things. One, if there are events happening. Secondly, there's so many students out there who nowadays they are using, even you can use AI to create images, no doubt about it. But then every other magazine, every other image would be similar unless you really curate the prompt and but there's nothing called ingenuity, originality of thought. And we also want to encourage that. So you can have children draw something and these photographers shooting it very nicely and you placing it as icons or supporting artwork in the magazine. So these are the various roles that you can think of. I'm not saying the one who's in designer part cannot be in the editorial part, because we generally have small teams. In real world, you even have smaller teams, so you have to wear multiple hats. 1 hour I'm wearing commissioning hat, another hour I'm wearing a graphic designer hat. But these are important. But in your school space, encourage more participation, but ensure that students are donning different hats and different issues of the school magazine. These are the support roles. And these are the roles which I generally find missing in many of the school publishing clubs, committees, or editorial clubs. Permissions control. It is so important that you also make children of your school aware of copyright, that it is a theft. The way you will not take someone else's money, you cannot borrow someone else's content and reproduce it as your own without acknowledgement and without permission. And it is also important that in your school magazine, at least a section should have certain write-ups where you sought permissions. Believe you me, you are not selling. You're not using it for commercial purpose. 99%, I've never seen a single school where they sell school magazines. So you can say 99.99%, the school magazines are complimentary and it is for learning purpose. It is to give the platform. We just saw it, right, in the chat section on that cloud. You said, why are you publishing a school magazine? And you said, it's a platform to demonstrate skills, to hone skills, right? So most of your organizations, when you write to them, they will give you permissions free of cost to reproduce it in your school magazine with proper acknowledgement. But it is so important that it should not happen when these students, when they grow up and join the publishing companies, and we tell them, hello, what you're trying to do is stealing. So you taught them everything. Do not steal anyone's money, property. Also teach them, do not steal anyone else's ideas. Build upon them. Do not steal anyone else's work. Use it or reproduce it with permission. Then the project manager. So you should always have in the editorial team one person whose role is project management, that is tracking progress. This is the date by which all the writers will be identified. This is the date by which the contributions will come in. So, you make a project tracker, and this person is publishing that tracker to everyone. This person is chasing, so that it's not the person who is collecting the articles, is also the person who's also chasing himself or herself and others to submit the articles on time. So you should always have a project manager, and you can actually, rotate this job in that team. And marketing. It is very important that you market your school magazine. I understand it comes every month. Yeah, but it should not be like another task in the endless list of tasks for an English teacher. It should be marketed, like pin-ups on the notice boards. If you have WhatsApp groups or LMSs, the messages should be sent. Hey, do you want to know more? Do you want to know the inside story of annual conference, annual function? Or do you know who slept or who cracked the funniest joke in the green room in the annual function? Or inside, do you know the weirdest habits of your English teacher, of your house captives? I mean, be respectful, but do promote, build up that, jazz it up, build up that suspense, so that students look forward to it. That, oh, something is coming up, something interesting is coming up in the month of September. What is coming up in the month of October? Do you know we have uh, a guest interview? We have a guest whom we have interviewed who's actually working in was working with Burlington and uh, has just launched 3,000 plus strong products or something like that. I'm just throwing the ideas out there. So do market it. So these are the three things which generally I find missing in most of the school publishing teams. So this is something that I would request you to keep in mind. So now with here I cannot do all the three, but I'll focus on the originality and why copyright isn't just fine print, because it is very important. I think it is the sanctity of anything that gets published that um, is ensured that we do not reproduce anything without the proper permissions. So copyright, things to remember when you use materials from other sources. Yeah. So this is the outline of this next segment. So materials from other sources, whether it is written text, graphics, or music, these are materials from other sources that you're using, unless you have written it yourself, right? So what is copyright? Copyright is protection of the original works. Remember, it is not for the idea behind the work, but for the work itself. Idea has got no copyright. And that is why they say you have a brilliant idea, publish it, manufacture it, because ideas ought to be protected. Ideas, there's no copyright. You cannot prove it. Published work, yes, you can. It's generally 70 years for the written text uh, and 50 years for like poems and for music. But I'm giving a general bit. You have to read it actually. Public domain is a much misused phrase. Oh, it's in public domain, I can use it. Don't think it like that. Creative Commons. So you'll find that many of these stories, artwork, they're in Creative Commons. It means it's copyleft, that you don't have to take my permission as long as you are reproducing it for non-commercial purpose, for learning purpose, you can use it. So I think for school magazine publishing, you'll have a lot of leverage in Creative Commons. But it'll be, just imagine the school editorial team having this discussion. Oh, hey, is this piece in copyright? What should we do? Whom should we write? How should we approach? You're raising a sensitized generation, wonderful it would be. Materials requiring permission. This is the list. I'm going to give you 2 seconds and I'm going to have 2 sips of water to go so that you can quickly read through this list. Yeah. So these are the materials that require permission. The materials that do not require permission, at times they clearly state out of copyright, Creative Commons, factual, sun rises from the east. It cannot be in copyright. Mention of trademarks in passing, like I served Coca-Cola in the party, that is fine. But if you're using the logo, then that falls in the copyright. Fair dealing, right? You can only take a line or 2 lines for academic reference, short quotations. But here again, you have to be very mindful of the fact the short quotations or just 2, 3 lines cannot be the gist of that work. How many of you have read Animal Farm by George Orwell? How many of you have read it? Shweta, can you see it in the chat box? Just put in yes if you've read Animal Farm.
Yes, we have received
Lot of
responses
yes.
as
Yeah?
in yes, yes.
Yeah. Oh, great. So in Animal Farm, there's a famous dialogue. All men are equal, but some are more equal than others. So if you're reusing it, it falls within the copyright because you're giving gist of that story. That's it, right? So you have to be very, very careful how you're using it, right? So now let's come to fair dealing. So fair dealing is like you don't have to take permissions as long as you acknowledge. You can use a piece for criticism or review as long as there's no malified intention. Oh, I want to criticize a story written. It's a constructive criticism for a story written by any famous author. I will not take names, but you can criticize the author for the work, but you cannot be too negative in the sense where you are shaming someone, right? So malified intentions should not be there, right? You can also use certain things for non-commercial research or private study or reporting current events. So the UK and India copyright laws are quite similar. So the fair dealing is there. Wisdom. The wisdom says avoid using Wikipedia. Wikipedia has got no sanctity, just a blatant Google search, just taking anything from any website and putting it out there. You're going to do it at your own risk. You have to ensure that Any reference to individuals, companies, or institutions are not defamatory. And you should not fictionalize real institutions, right? So you cannot fictionalize Burlington English into something and write a story about it. And also do not invent facts about a real individual without permission. Write about your teacher whom you find very strict, and you write everything that you shouldn't be writing and just give another name, but people can identify it, right? So the general wisdom needs to be applied. I'm giving you 2 seconds to read through this slide. And this is the last. If you're using AI, acknowledge it. Acknowledge it. Because next time someone else is using, AI will not reproduce what AI has reproduced in in conversation with you, but the LLMs, the models on which the algorithms are common, right? So the chances of other person getting the same response is also a similar response is quite high. So it is very important that you acknowledge it. You can ask the AI tool, how do you want me to acknowledge it? They'll give you, I've given you 2 instances here. These are 2 examples. Have a look at it. So just acknowledge it. Have an acknowledgement section. Whenever I see some published work, I always look at the acknowledgement section. It tells me how much authentic content is there, how much originality has been driven in the process of publishing it. It also tells me who have written and what they have written. So do have an acknowledgement section. Acknowledgement section is also something that is missing in many school magazines. Very important. And this is from my thesis. I did my thesis on managing editorial workflows in multi-platform publishing when I did my MA from University of the Arts, London, from London College of Communication. And this is a quote that it is very close to my heart, that structured editorial processes are the veins of complex publishing programs. So you should know the structure, the stages, who's going to do what and why. Collaboration, I'm just repeating what I generated with AI, shared vision, structured meetings, constructive feedback, give feedback with kindness and honesty. And if we ever do another webinar on publishing, and then we will talk more about editorial processes, key quality metrics, and the process of giving editorial feedback. Today, we only had an hour, so we could only do this much. But I do let me know what are your key takeaways from the session. And also do let me know who are your favorite authors and whose stories you would like to read into the chat section. And we'll give it 30 seconds. After that, we'll end the webinar.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an insightful session. And we have many responses. So we have Sudha Murthy, Diary of Wimpy Kid, acknowledging AI was my first takeaway. Kafka, very informative. I think there would be a few questions also. So we can just slide towards the question and answer session also.
Yes.
So I have this question from Clayton Richard David. So it's basically a group of editorial people in the school comes from which department? English department or science or commerce department? Please do let me know. This was the question.
From all departments. Variety is the spice of life. Do not let English department, be the one who's always doing the publishing. Have students and teachers from all departments.
So APJ Abdul Kalam, a very informative session, reflection of a man within, written by Amari Soul, and someone also has written about Ruskin Bond, Geo Tolstoy, and Leo Tolstoy, and Shakespeare, Paulo Coelho. Very informative session. Rabindranath Tagore, Othello. So along with the authors, we also are constantly getting their feedbacks, their responses. So it's, thank you so much, ma'am. Very interesting session, wonderful session. Wings of Fire by APJ Abdul Kalam, William
Great.
Wordsworth,
So thank you all.
Robin Sharma.
Thank you, Sweta.
So thank you so much, ma'am, for this enriching session. And it has been a very truly valuable learning experience. And I appreciate the opportunity to keep on learning with you. And the response from the participants made it even more enriching and exciting. Thank you so much.